Hi guys, welcome to Tiger Talk Tuesday. Today we are with former CFL star Milan, you got to pronounce your last name.
Topolovec.
Otherwise I'm going to ruin it for you. So I'll get quickly into a little bio about him. It will be posted there as well so you can read it in depth, and I will link to his social media sites. But after only 2 years of arriving to Canada from Croatia, Milan and his family were in a car accident, and at the age of 14 that left him orphaned. In high school, he played soccer at a very high level, basketball, and ran track. He played for the GGs and was drafted by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In his second season, he ended up breaking his hand. Next, he came to play for the Ottawa Roughriders, where, again, he unfortunately... The same hand broke? Yep. I imagine it's the same. Yep. At this point in time, the decision to stop playing was his own, and he realized that he needed to look for a career versus the uncertainty he felt week to week. Winnipeg did contact him to come back to play, but that's when he decided that he had just joined London Life as an insurance advisor, and he wasn't going to return to the sport. He did coach at the University of Ottawa football team for 1 year and 14 years for the Cumberland Panthers, where a number of their players went on to play in the CFL. He is now the founder of TK Financial Group, working with business owners and professionals to build their wealth and protect them from catastrophe. They create proven strategies combining life insurance, estate planning, and business advising for their clients. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here. So, quite the story coming over from Croatia. I mean, given your bio, it didn't seem like it moved into a terrible transition, being in a terrible car accident. But can you kind of tell us how that all took place? And then was sports maybe your savior at that time, getting into it?
Yeah, exactly. When my parents were died, I had to move to a new city, Hamilton, from a small town of 3,500 people. The saving grace was exactly sports. I ran track with an ex-Olympic Olympic track specialist, so I was headed more toward track than anything else. Played soccer, and then they ended up in an accident. I survived. Moved to Hamilton, new city. There was no psychologist.
Oh yeah.
So I did track, wrestling, football, basketball, and what was the other? And another sport. I knew nothing about wrestling, knew nothing about football. Soccer I certainly did. Basketball I learned. So the transition going from this to the next level was exactly sports. And then I excelled at sports, and my marks were good enough to get me a scholarship at places like Cornell, Florida State, Bucknell, Idaho State in grade 11 for football.
Impressive.
So I did my SATs prior to any tests that now an athlete would get, and I scored very high. So again, I decided there was a situation. I didn't end up going to the States. I ended up at University of Ottawa, where I started, basically I wanted to be in business, so I took economics and urban planning. And from there I was drafted by Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I went there, played there, everything from offensive tackle, defensive end, specialty teams. As a Canadian,
first of all, you guys, if I'm standing on something, he's quite tall, so you can imagine the skill sets when he walks into a room. You played everything. Jeez.
You have no choice.
Yeah,
you just do what they ask you to do. And so, long story short, I ended up in the BC game. I literally separated my thumb from my hand.
Okay.
And then I came to Ottawa. I was supposed to go home and rest, but I ended up joining the Roughriders because I had friends that played on the team. And hand was rebroken, and then the doctor said, we'll re-break it and reset it again. And I'm going, it really doesn't sound like fun.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So
the things they do, eh?
So I didn't, when I started with London Life, there was no plan. It wasn't like I had thought about, okay, what do I want to do when football's done? The guy approached me. There was a little restaurant called Villa Roma on Bank Street in Ottawa. I took my suit because I didn't want to take a suit at the stadium because I figured the guys would be ribbing me for wearing a suit. So I got into the bathroom, little cubicle, put on a suit to meet the guy from London Life, the manager. And then I started working for them. My first year, knowing zero people in Ottawa, I more than doubled my income from playing football. That spring, the Blue Bombers called back. My nickname was Big Top. We'd like you to come back.
Big Top. You're coming just so you're out of the camera there. I want them to be able to see you. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So basically, they said, come back. But then I said, well, no, which was really tough because I made a decision in grade 10 to play professional football.
Yeah.
That was literally in grade 10. Everybody the football coach says this guy's going to play in the CFL, I was driven. So stopping to play is a mind battle. Basically, I didn't watch football. I didn't read about football. I didn't go in any games for 2 years.
Wow.
Even though my buddies in Winnipeg were winning, everything from Grey Cup and everything, I had to get myself out of that. And the challenge for an athlete is say, okay, it's over. I see athletes that quit on their own terms, like Tom Brady, which is amazing because it's really, really, really difficult. I said to somebody, you're not signing, not that I was a superstar, but still, kids would come up, hey, Mr. Topolovec, can we have your autograph? There's none of that. All of a sudden, you're a normal person in the street. So making that transition from even being recognized slightly, which I would call slightly, but being recognized and deciding, no, we got to do something. So as an athlete, you have to make a decision. Okay, what am I going to do next? Where are we going from here? And it's tough because typically athletes have people skills. They're hardworking. They're driven. So in sales, they really, really do well because they have the discipline. So taking your skill set that got you to be an athlete and moving it to the next level. Okay, now I'm in insurance. I knew nothing about insurance, like zero. So what I did is I educated myself. I took all kinds of courses, got all kinds of designations, and then I said, who do I want to serve? So I said, well, business owners, professionals, and Jewish clients. I'm not Jewish, which doesn't matter, but it was tougher to break in because of just I'm not part of the community. However, I did, based on integrity, hard work, and providing valuable advice to our clients. And that's how, in my case, it was accidental. Oh, do you want to work for London Life? Sure, sounds good. What does that mean? Picking up premiums in Sandy Hill around university, because I was there were two divisions. One was where you had to pick up premiums from little old ladies. And then in the afternoon, you're walking into offices acting like you're a professional advisor, which took a lot of work. But I still take courses. And it's the same as football. You got to have a playbook as well. You got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. Okay, I get up in the morning. I use a focus planner, which saved me during the pandemic. Why? Because it lists out what are your three main activities. This was one of them for me today, in addition to seeing certain clients. So you basically have to have a game plan. So there's so many similarities. It's like a football coach. As a football coach, I had a game plan. It doesn't matter who we were playing. I would watch them on film and say, okay, here's what they're doing. Here's where I can exploit. And I learned out as an athlete playing in Winnipeg, where I had a Comet Burley and John Helton. John was a Shenley, which is top of the line. I remember going to his house for dinner. I thought I had met God. John and I are friends to this day. He's in Calgary. He's a friend. So the idea was you had to be all the time better and better. You come to a football camp. This is what it's like. You're six deep. That means John Helton's here, and there's all these other people in between you. And so every week you're out, you're pounding it, you're lying in 500 pounds of ice to get the swelling off your body. All that stuff that athletes go through that we don't see. People that aren't part of the game, they don't see that part.
Yeah.
So then as you move up the ladder, okay, now you're fourth, now you're third, now you're second, now you're backup. Well, being a backup to a Shenley player like John Helton is like being backup to God. This guy our minimum bench press was 400 pounds in Winnipeg.
Holy cow.
For lineman, minimum.
Yeah.
So we do our bench. John comes in, warms up with 315, boom, 440. Yeah, that's enough. So again, I was fortunate to become friends with athletes. And the same is in business. Get a mentor. Mm-hmm. Get a mentor. And people say, well, where do I find a mentor? Somebody you respect. And people say, well, I don't think he or she's going to want to do it. They will.
Yeah,
they will, because it's an honor. I mentored, I call them kids. They're not kids anymore. Yeah. They're 32 years old as we speak currently, and help them in business, help them in many ways. So the idea is athletes as an athlete, you have so many advantages that you can take into the business world. And the idea is it's a grind. You get down, you get knocked down, you have a choice. You stay down, you get up. Just like football. Those days you would get blindsided. Blindsided, you're running one way, your head's over here, and somebody hammers you. So your feet leave the ground, and you end up on your back and go, God, don't let me do this again. So the idea is the same as business. It's not all rosy. Or whether you're in sales, I own a business, but I'm in sales. I provide services to clients.
And did you have like some of those pockets of transitions? Obviously, I mean, to go through a car accident and then obviously take on your life, were there dark days in between, or you seem like you put the plan in place and then you go full bore, four tilt, you put it into action? Like, what do you do to keep your head space? Obviously, if you're a planner, but are you someone who do you like to be by the water, or you like to journal, or you like to read, or what do you do to keep yourself grounded and able to wake up and pursue your goals each day?
I meditate.
You meditate?
Meditate for sure.
Yeah.
I pray.
Yeah.
Okay. Unfortunately, I don't go to church enough. And ironically, our home in Cumberland's literally 5 minutes from the church. But I am spiritual, so it helps me keep me grounded. Now, does that mean I'm perfect? Absolutely not.
For sure.
But we all need something, and I don't use it as a crutch, but I use it as a guidance and say, okay, would a good person do what you're doing? No, they wouldn't, and then why the heck are you doing it? So that helped me. Meditation is the best
I
as
love
well,
meditation.
because it gets me grounded. Because sometimes I'll meditate in the office, and a receptionist came by and said, "Are you okay?" Because she saw me sitting there for 20 minutes, and I put on my iPhone and I have Calm, and I have different meditation things, and then she says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay."
I love it.
So Catherine, now my senior assistant, she has a note that she puts on the door: "Please do not disturb."
That's hilarious. I dove into meditation after my breast cancer, and I found it was game changer, especially as athletes. I feel like we are big personalities for the most part, and you kind of have a bit of a monkey brain, right? And then there's a book, I think, the Monkey to a Monk Brain. But either way, I did find it just calmed me down and connected with what my true thoughts and feelings were, and then I was able to show up much more spiritually aligned. And then the world gets the best of you, right? So do you do that every day, or is it every day? Every
day. In addition to that, I've probably read, or actually audioed, over 1,000 books.
Wow.
My iPhone and my iPads have all these. What I do is when I drive around, it's very rare that I'll be listening to the radio.
Yeah, me too.
Podcasts
books,
are amazing. Ed Billett and all these different guys that are
Bring in the screen there. No, that's okay.
all these guys that are and ladies. Basically, there's so much good stuff because we all need it.
Yeah.
And especially now with the pandemic, I am in the insurance business. The claims for disability are about 34% for stress and burnout.
Wow. Wow.
So
that says a lot about mental health, right?
It's huge. And again, people say, well, you're tough, you're resilient, you're this. Nah, we're all normal.
Yeah. I think that's actually a great comment to put out there, because I find, especially as men, I mean, and a large man, if I'm really standing up, very big man, but men are kind of taught to be tough and ego-y and everything like that. And I find sometimes that's why I wanted to do these talks, because there are a lot of pro athletes that are suffering in silence because they're so used to being in the limelight and they don't want to, obviously. And it's not about telling the world all about your problems and going out on social media and saying all this, but I wanted to create a space where they had a place where they could view and they're like, wow, all these athletes deal with this. This is totally normal. And then it gives them some footing to be able to walk in the right direction, to do whatever it is that they need to do to heal themselves or work towards that. But so I really appreciate you saying that. That's a huge bonus. Any other last minute tips or tricks for athletes transitioning to life after sports? Now, obviously you had injury. You kind of combined two, injury and choice. Or unforeseen circumstances, and that immediately, for whatever reason, their sport has stopped. That you would, any final words that you would like to leave them with?
Sure. I've worked. I've actually not worked. I've talked to professional athletes, ex-professional hockey players, football, whatever, and I've kind of mentored them and say, okay, what would you like to do? In a perfect world, remove all the I can't because I'm not educated enough. I can't because I'm not rich enough. Remove all that stuff. Just write down what you'd like to do. Then go out and say, okay, what do I need to do to get myself to the level where I can do this job? What education, what skill sets, my attitude, the whole thing. And most of all, there's another part. There's a book by Dan Sullivan and another gentleman, Doctor, Who Not How. We get it. Who, not how. And who is, who do you need to know to help you? Because all my life, it's been, how am I going to get to meet this client? How am I going to get into this network? How am I going to do this? Had I had this book when I was in the 20s, it would have been a lot better.
Who, not how.
Who, not how. And who do you need to know? And it's amazing because when we talk about degrees of separation, people say, Milan, you know everybody. No, I don't know everybody, but I certainly know enough people.
Yeah.
So to me, I've helped people get jobs. I've helped people get contracts. I've helped people get surgeries. Why? It's the who. Who do I know? A guy that's really been amazing, Dr. Chris Rayner. He's an orthopedic surgeon, ex-football player. Guys like him, Michael Funky Fung, who's a specialist at the hospital for cancer. These are all friends, people that I can call. And I call the doctor and I say, Michael, we need somebody for this. He goes, what? I can triage it. I'll put him, I don't certainly do that, but I'll put him in touch. So the idea is, the bigger your network is an asset. So the other part, as an athlete, you may say, well, I don't really know anybody. Really? Are you kidding? They know you.
all your athletes, I think about sports from being all over the world. I mean, just from playing sports, every one of your teammates, that's a connection right there. Even I reached out to my former coach at NCAA, and he put me in touch with, the commissioner of Hockey East and of men and women. And so you're exactly what Milan is saying, I have even done, and I've experienced the benefits of too. So I completely agree. What about the not and the how?
How, not who. Who, not how.
Okay.
Who do you need to know?
Versus not how do you do it.
I spoke to Ottawa UGG's football program. One year, the coach had me in to speak, Coach Piche at the time, to 100 players. So now you can imagine. I'm in the front, and I've written 2 books, Beyond the Tipping Point, How to Set Up Your Network, and 10 people you meet in business. Prominent people tell their own stories, videotaped, and then transcribed. I'm talking to Ottawa U football players, right? So these guys just finished practice. I'm down and they're all up in the room, big room, and I was talking to them about this idea. Who do you know? And you can see the blank stares on their face. Are you kidding me? I play football. I go to university. And my question to them was, you got 100 players here. Mm-hmm. Do you know every one of these players? And these players can help you in life beyond the football, beyond catching balls or scoring touchdowns or tackling people.
Yeah, I love that. Sound advice. And we're so grateful that you were able to contribute to this series. I can't believe this is already episode 18, and we just started last month. So many athletes have been coming forward. Obviously, our mission is to help those athletes that are suffering in silence know that you are not alone. There is a community here that wants to help you. And if you have obviously any questions for Milan, his contact information will be on the post. But thank you so much for being a part of it, and thank you for such great advice. I don't think that's actually been shared yet on one of the episodes. So, excellent advice, and we are happy to have you. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
And we'll see you Thursday. We'll see you with our next athlete, but I'll keep that a surprise until tomorrow. Have a great day, guys, and this is how tall I really am.